Hey, Pastor Josh here. We're reading Acts chapter 12, verses 1 through 5. And what you and I need to do is that we need to fight our battles on our knees. We need to be praying. Charles Stanley had this saying. He had this as a principle for his life and his teaching. He said, "Fight all your battles on your knees, and you win every time." If you fight your battles on your knees, then you win every time. Go to the Lord in prayer. We're even told in Scripture that if you need wisdom, ask the Lord to give it to you, and He's going to give it to you liberally. He's going to just pour it on you as we go about our day, as we're facing problems. Remember to offer up prayers to the Lord. Maybe you actually get it down on your knees and you actually bow your head and you pray for a few minutes, or perhaps you even are just so taken by the issue and the time that you find yourself praying for 10, 15 minutes or so. Or perhaps it might be that you just lift up a 30-second, 10-second prayer, even in the midst of your work, to say, "Lord, I need help. I'm getting frustrated right now. I don't think I can solve this problem." Fight your battles on your knees, and you win every time. And this is what the early church did. They had some big problems coming their ways, and they indeed fight this battle on their knees. So about that time, King Herod laid violent hands on some who belonged to the church. He killed James the brother with the sword, and when he saw that it pleased the Jews, he proceeded to arrest Peter also. Here's some sin we need to avoid ourselves, these violent hands and this killing. And I always go back to what Jesus said on the Sermon on the Mount. He said that if you even think evil about somebody in your heart, you call them a fool. If you have anger toward them in your heart, essentially Jesus says you have killed them. You have committed murder. You have broke the sixth commandment. So we always have to make sure, and we need to be avoiding, or we need to be examining our own heart to say, okay, what's going on in here? Am I angry towards somebody? Am I jealous of somebody? Am I wanting to go against somebody? Is to examine those hearts that are going on, because we know that Jesus, even further in the Sermon on the Mount, tells us that if somebody smacks us on the cheek, we should do what? We should turn the other also. And so there is this just commitment to anti-violence. There is this commitment to not necessarily give back what is given to us. It's hard to play out and how that actually works practically in our lives, but we should always err toward the side of nonviolence. We should always err toward the side of not going after somebody. And that all begins in our heart. We really go after somebody when we are angry with them on the inside. And so that's something you can address even at the very beginning. And I've always found it very helpful, and found other people to find it helpful is that when you realize that you really have no enemies, and if they are enemies of the Lord, then Satan himself and the evil darknesses, the evil dark forces, have blinded their eyes. And so remember that the real battle that you're fighting is against principalities and powers, against demons, and even Satan himself. And so that is what we need to be about. So we should never be called violent people. That should not be the descriptor of the Christian. So he killed James, and then you also see there's a lot of people pleasing going on there. When it pleased the Jews, Herod was. If you look historically to Herod, he just wanted people to follow him and to like him, and he was having a hard time really persuading the Jews that he was a legitimate king. And so, he's like, okay, they like this, and so then he's going to do further atrocities by arresting Peter also. In particular, this was during the days of unleavened bread. This is leading up to the Feast of Passover, so this is the same celebration that Jesus went to, and this was the same celebration where Jesus died. Jesus would have been killed when the Passover lambs were being sacrificed, and we see the institution of this Passover meal, of this Feast of Unleavened Bread. It happened when the Israelites came out of Egypt. That is when Passover was instituted. And so we'll look forward to walking through the book of Exodus in just a few short months, and we'll get to Exodus and see the institution of Passover. But when he had seized him, that is Herod seizing Peter, he put him in prison, delivering him over to 4 squads of soldiers to guard him, intending after the Passover to bring him out to the people. You see, Peter has had a habit of getting out of jail, of being freed. And so that's why I would assume they're having 4 squads of soldiers for one man. Wow. Verse 5. So Peter was kept in prison, but here it is. Earnest prayer for him was made to God by the church. And there is the example for us to follow. This is where we follow the advice of Charles Stanley to fight all of our battles on our knees. And when you fight your battles on your knees, you win every time. Earnestly pray. Don't dismiss the power of prayer, the power of the Lord that you're talking to, and don't even underestimate the power of a 5 or 10-second prayer, particularly when you're in the midst of a problem, when you're going about your day. I wonder how many 10-second prayers we miss the opportunity to reach out to God and ask for His help. As we will see, this church, even though they were earnestly praying, their prayer was still weak. And yet the Lord listened to them, and they answered, and indeed they won. I pray that has been a blessing to you, and I pray you will take this opportunity, and that you will make a commitment to fight your battle, whatever it is today, on your knee. I'll see you in the next video.